and welcome back to Anime-chan. Today I'm going to be sharing my review only of One Punch Man episode 7 and 8. If you want to watch the reaction highlights for both of these episodes, you can find them in the link in the description on Dailymotion, because all of my One Punch Man videos seem to be getting claimed and then blocked in the United States. One was blocked in France, one was blocked in Japan, but most of them are being blocked in the United States. I don't really understand why, because I do cut out so much, but you know, whatever. So just go watch the reaction highlights quickly using the link in the description, and then come back to hear my review of both these episodes. It was kind of like a two-part episode, so yeah, I thought it would be cool to share the review together anyway. I want to dedicate today's video to Adam Cummins, aka Lord Cypher on Twitter and Twitch. Thank you so much for being a patron and choosing to support me and helping me to not only post videos and reviews, but also to stream on Twitch every weekend. I couldn't do it without your support. It really helps me so much to build this community and hopefully make people feel welcome here and feel like they have a place to share their passion and love for anime, because I know that I never had a place like that to share my interest in it, and only recently could I really be okay with being different from the people around me and putting my all into this culture that I love, the otaku culture. I truly believe that is what it is. Okay, so without getting too cliche and corny, thank you so much, Adam, for everything. Now let's jump into the review of episode 8 and 9 of One Punch Man. So episode 8 was called The Deep Sea King, and we didn't really have much of Saitama in this episode. It was mostly about all these other heroes and how they are not strong enough to defeat the Deep Sea King. And looking back now, I can see the importance of that episode. These heroes really gave their all to defeat this impending doom of a sea monster, and they couldn't do it. It is not that they didn't give their all, it is just that it was not that they didn't give their all, it was just that it was too strong. So there was Stinger, we had Lightning Max, Puri Prisoner, Sonic couldn't get a scratch on him once it started raining. Then there was there was 4 heroes in the shelter that couldn't defeat it together. Motherfucking Genos was ripped apart. It seemed like Genos could almost take him, but he protected that girl, and the acid just wasted him. I'm kind of getting confused now. What was in episode? I think the bicycle guy, wasn't he in episode 2, in episode 9? My review is probably gonna be all over the place because I watched both episodes consecutively. So right now I can't remember where exactly did the one end and the next one begin. The fights were pretty insane, especially the one between Sonic and the monster and Genos and the monster. Those were the two most epic ones. I love Sonic's fighting style. It's just like, he's like the Justin Bieber of fighting. Like, I get so squeamish and like, not squeamish, what's the word? You know how girls, you're fangirling? Like, I feel like a fangirl when I watch him. So funny. But anyway, he was butt naked, boom, gone. Came back with his weapons later, but it was too late. Genos' fight with him was amazing, but he wanted to save that little girl and was totally defeated by the acid. So that is definitely something that I think Genos will learn from. His body is not resistant against something like acid, so maybe in the future it will be adapted to resist something like that. So I don't know if that's going to change or if it will even come up again in the future, but at least he has this, I don't know, not evil genius, but this, someone keeps remaking his body for him, and yeah, that's great. I'm very happy for Genos that he has that person that keeps remaking him. Then we had the scene with Moomin Rider. Okay, so I was first very frustrated because I just wanted to see Saitama get there and beat the shit out of that deep sea king, because I was still mad at the previous episode of how people treat Saitama. So I just wanted Saitama to show up, beat the shit out of him, and everyone better love and appreciate him for the hero that he is. That's what I wanted. So I got a little bit irritated with Moomin Rider because I was like, dude, you're not gonna win. Just get out of the way. Let Saitama get his moment to shine. But then he had this really precious moment, and I mean, I knew it wasn't gonna help, because, you know, if someone is not strong enough, cheering them on isn't necessarily gonna give them the strength. I mean, there are moments, I'm sure, where, like, have you ever heard of mothers that when their children are in trouble, they get superhuman strength and can lift cars off of babies and shit? Like, I mean, there are moments where the adrenaline can push you a little bit further, but at the level that guy was, Moomin Rider was not going, no matter how many times people were going to scream, Gambare, whatever, they were not, I just knew, no, not a scratch, he's not going to make a scratch on that guy. And he didn't, but that's when Saitama stepped in, and now looking back, all of that first episode and that part with Moomin Rider, all of that was just set up for this moment for Saitama. He defeated the Deep Sea King with one punch, just like I wanted. People started cheering, just like I wanted. And then that one dick face started talking shit. And at first people were like, stop it, like they risked their lives for us. But then you just need that one voice to switch people's mood and to use like the word fraud, cheat. And it just, I guess it's not just that one person's voice. It was because there were already rumors, and it just kind of built this whole thing. But what I wanted to point out while watching was the rumor and the guy talking, and it did kind of sow a little bit of discord. But it was Saitama's choice to play the bad guy, and that's what made them really believe the rumors. And I mean, they could see in front of their eyes that he defeated that monster, and that thing was strong. It wasn't weakening, it kept healing, and that was also important, the fact that we kept seeing how his wounds kept healing. So that thing wasn't getting worn down. Saitama didn't beat it because all the other heroes weakened it for him. No, we know he beat that monster because of his strength, but he chose to play the bad guy because he didn't want the other heroes to be looked down on. And I immediately, it's like the anger that I felt to that person and to those people for even for a second believing those rumors and for talking shit, my anger just dissipated because Saitama chose to step down, like Geno said, this is the path he's chosen to walk. And on one hand, it's frustrating because we know the truth, but on the other hand, I understand why he chose to do it. And it's not like he was going to be thrown in jail for being a cheat. It's just that everyone's opinion of him was going to be pretty shit. And he chose that. He chose to sacrifice himself and his reputation for the other heroes. And by God, can they please know that? I just want them to know that. I'm pretty Genos knows it. We know Genos knows it. Moomin Rider, I'm not sure how unconscious he was, but I'm sure he knows it. But those other heroes, like, I mean, how is, what is his name? Springer or Spinner or whatever his name was again in the beginning. I'm not sure if he'll ever know. Lightning Max, will he ever know? Puri Prisoner. But even though they might not know that Saitama sacrificed his reputation for them, they're all aware of the fact. You know that moment where Puri Prisoner saw in the paper S-Class failure? I feel like they all know that they didn't contribute as much as the public now is going to make out they did. It's like they're gonna know that they weren't able to weaken that monster. I mean, Springer or whatever his name was, Lightning Max, I remembered his name earlier. Now I just slipped my mind. Spinner? I don't know. They didn't do anything to slow that. I mean, yes, that the first guy defeated the other monsters, but the Deep Sea King, like, he didn't put a scratch on him. Neither did Lightning Max. Neither did Sonic or Pretty Prisoner or any of those other heroes. I'm sure that they know that. And I hope on some level they realize that Saitama totally covered for them. And I'm sure that by the end of this season 1, we've got 3 episodes left. I'm sure that Saitama needs that moment where at least if it's not the public, the other heroes need to show that they respect him and that they're grateful for him. I hope so, at least. I like how the anime definitely, even though we don't necessarily get the most epic fights from Saitama, like, I mean, he defeats guys in one punch, so there's not going to be these long, worn out fights between him. Like, he doesn't get a scratch. You know, in anime where it's these big fights and then the hero keeps getting knocked down and eventually he gets this moment of strength and he gives the last punch. And in anime like Dragon Ball Z and Bleach and, you know, those kinds of, even Pokemon, you have the sparring, and then towards the end sometimes they win and sometimes they actually don't win. So there's always that excitement. With One Punch Man, you know Saitama is gonna win. So I love how the anime kind of gives us still that feeling of, you know, this hype for him to come, and still we get these amazing fights regardless of the fact that he's One Punch Man. We get fights between Genos and the monster, and like the fight between Sonic and the monster. Like, I was freaking out over that fight. There's so many fights and so many heroes, and it's so exciting. And yeah, I think that my hype before I started this season was definitely worth it. Like, oftentimes I'm worried that my expectations of an anime are too high, and then I get very disappointed when I start watching. But this anime is a really good example of how my expectations were very high and they were met. So sometimes your expectations can fuck you up. Like, you can have high expectations and then the anime is still good, but it just doesn't meet your expectations and your hype that you had. So it feels worse than it would have been if you had gone in with low expectations. Other times you have low expectations or no expectations, and then you get blown away because you didn't expect it to be so good, and then it seems almost better than some people would have thought it was if they had high expectations for it. So with One Punch Man, I feel like my expectations were high and my expectations were met, like, perfectly. I'm still on that hype. I'm still excited for every episode to come, and I'm so glad that I don't have to wait so long for season 2. Season 2 is starting quite soon. So I'm going to finish off with 3 questions that I always ask for each review, if I remember. The first one is, how did these 2 episodes make me feel? A ton of emotions. My emotions were like this. Like, I was excited and then horrified and then excited and then sad and then happy, and like, there were so many emotions. And you guys know from watching my other reviews that is one of my favorite. Like, when an anime does that, when an episode does that, you know that I'm gonna give these 2 episodes 5 out of 5 punches. That's my score, because if it can keep me on the edge of my seat throughout these 2, it felt like one long episode, but it was 2 episodes. It kept me on the edge of my seat in every moment because of all the emotions, and all the visuals were great. They really alternated between, for each fight, it was like they really gave it something else. And like, especially the fight with Pretty Prisoner, like, that was very unique, very interesting to watch. So yeah, I think the strongest emotion that I felt was excitement, because I kept being excited for the next, and for Saitama to come, and then this fight, and then that fight, and then when Genos came, I thought he was going to win, and Saitama wasn't going to be able to fight, and then, yeah, it was great. So I think the emotion that I felt during this episode mostly was excitement. I'm going to give 5 out of 5 punches, both these episodes, as I'm rating them as like 1 episode. And then the last question is, what stood out to me the most? What was my favorite moment? And I think it was that letter from Moomin Rider. First, just a letter as thanks, and then meeting Moomin Rider and knowing that it came from him. And it was just such a special moment. And I was like, yes, this is what he deserves. No, of course the public thinks shit about him now, and he knows it because he chose for them to see him that way, to save the others. But at least I think that moment with Moomin Rider makes it all worth it, just knowing that Genos knows. Moomin Rider, you know, that was just so perfect, and I really liked that moment the most. If I had to choose like a fight, I think I couldn't choose, because all of the fights were great for different reasons. I think I already mentioned my favorite ones, which was Sonic, Pretty Prisoner, and then the Genos one. But damn, that Deep Sea King was crazy. Like, it kept like healing itself, and it was first like this strong and then this strong, and it was a great 2 episodes. So I would love to hear from you guys. What was your favorite moments in these 2 episodes, and what would you rate them? I'm looking forward to the last 3 episodes. I'm waiting for my patrons to tell me if I should watch it like episode 10 and then 11 and 12, or should I do 10 and 11 and then 12 finale. So yeah, I'll do that next week. Thanks again for being here. I will see you guys next time. Bye.